Welcome to the trend momentum strategy. We're going to tell you how this indicator works and then take you through the settings. That way you can understand what the visuals mean on the chart and what the input, properties, style, and visibility tabs mean within the settings. So I've removed the strategy tester. We're going to talk about that in a moment. First, we're going to understand what these arrows are on the chart and what these stars are, since they're the first biggest things that pop out of us. So what the stars are, if you see a green star, that means there is a bullish engulfing candlestick there. So as you can see, there's a large bullish engulfing candlestick. It means the body of this candle was larger than the previous candlestick close and open, low and high. So anywhere you see a green star, that means there was a bullish engulfing candle. Anywhere you see a red star, that means there was a bearish engulfing candle. As you can see, the body of this candle was more than twice the size of the body of the previous candle. Now here you'll see a bullish engulfing and you're saying, why isn't there a star right there? Well, that's why we selected this moment to show you exactly, because the bullish engulfing characteristics must be twice as much as the previous candle. Here you'll see this bullish engulfing was twice as large. Here you'll see this bullish engulfing was larger than the body of the previous candle, but not by a value of 2x. So that is why it is not indicated here. So these are only large bullish engulfing movements and large bearish engulfing movements, where the previous body is less than half. So the engulfing body is more than 2x the size of the previous body. Now these arrows on the chart, you'll see here, the arrows on the bottom, the blue upwards facing arrows, those are entries for long positions. So that is where the strategy tells you to take a long position. Now if you look on the opposite side, you'll see pink arrows that are facing down. This is where the strategy has told you to close long positions. So you're closing long positions here. Now give me just a second, I'm going to need to change the settings and find a short. Okay, so here we have a red downward facing arrow, and that means that we took a short entry. Now this script does not intend to use short entries primarily. However, you can remove all the long conditions as I just have, and we'll talk about that in just a second. So that way you can see only short positions, and they usually only attempt to capture at mean reversion points. So it tries to capture really solid movements after engulfing patterns, and we'll talk about that more in a moment. But the red downward facing candle is indicative of opening a short position, and it'll usually say these things right here on top of it, which we'll talk about in a second. And then right here we have a upwards pink facing arrow. Now remember, for a long close it was a downwards pink facing arrow. For an upwards pink arrow, it is a close short order, so you're going to close that position there. And now let me just turn this back on with the longs and short. So here we see again, on the top it's closing a long, on the bottom it's closing a short. Now you can see there's not a lot of shorts here. In fact, this is the only one on screen. So now I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more, and we'll see a little bit of text starting to pop up. So we can see close out. That was the action that was taken. Here on the bottom we see long, so that means long entry. And then if we go to the short, it says short, so that means short entry. And then here again we see close entry, order short. It even tells you to close the short. So here this will tell you to close out your longs, and this will tell you how to close out your shorts. Now this right here is how much of the asset you've purchased. You'll see it's changing along different amounts. So right now I'm looking at the exchange Bitstamp. So it would be purchasing this much Bitcoin, because that is the asset we're looking at. And I have some other assets pulled up just for reference really quickly. So here we could see, if I zoom in, paying attention to the values here, now the values change as we are buying different quantities of Ethereum now. So that will tell you how much of the asset you have purchased, and it will be reflected off of this value right here. Now by default it's 1,000, but you can change this to whatever you'd like. And we'll talk about this tab a little bit more in detail in just a moment. So what about all these lines? Well, you might be familiar with the Bollinger Bands, and we're using the Bollinger Bands in this script as part of the entry conditions. So this upper white line here is the upper band, the middle line is the middle band, and the lower line is the lower band of the Bollinger Band. And you can choose to turn these on or off right here in the style. So you can turn any one of these off that you'd like. If you don't want to look at any of them, you don't have to. You can still see these trades and how to take the trades without seeing these here. This is just in case you want to use it for a visual and try and manually aid the strategy. So the other line we have here is the simple moving average, and this is going to be automatically calculated at a value of 50. So you can turn it on and off here, choose to see it if you'd like, and it is also included as an entry condition and as an exit condition in this strategy. You can change any of these to any color you'd like, and the SMA value is also changeable as well, and we will talk about that in just a moment. So here we see the bearish engulfing and bullish engulfing. We can change these to whatever color we'd like. It comes preset to red and green and with the star, but you can literally type anything in here. See, we have a green star right here. I will change this to the letter H. Pretty much whatever you'd like it to be, you can change it to that. You can copy and paste another text if it's not on your keyboard. If you have Zalgo text, you can literally put whatever you'd like in here and it will show up. So I'm just going to, for example, if I had a text notepad somewhere else, I wanted to copy from somewhere else and bring that symbol onto here, or however you bring up symbols, I don't know how to do that, but you can literally put whatever you'd like right here and change that symbol, so that way you know that symbol means bullish engulfing or bearish engulfing. You can change the location. Now this is just what it comes preset. You can change it to whatever you'd like. So here we can see the trades on chart. So if we take this off, then we don't see any of the trade indications and we just see the Bollinger Bands and the SMA lines. Now if we want to turn off select details from this, we can turn off the labels and the quantity, so that way we're just seeing the arrows. You can change whichever one of those you'd like to have on. If you only want the arrows, you can just leave it like that. And again, you can take all of them off to take everything off. Now the precision is an NA value on this script. Labels on price scale is an NA value on this script. Values in status line takes these off right here. So if you just pay attention with your eyes right here as I click this, they go away. So then you won't be able to see them there at all. Now if I just put it back on, then you'll see them there. And they change based upon where you move your cursor. So then this would be Bollinger Band line. Here we'll see the middle Bollinger Band, top Bollinger Band, and lower Bollinger Band values. And then here's the SMA value. So I put my cursor right there, that's where the SMA would be. And then top band, middle band, lower band, the values correspond. So now we'll go over visibility tab really quickly. By checking these boxes here, whichever one is checked, you'll be able to see the strategy on that time frame. If I have this unchecked between 1 hour to 24 hours, I press OK. Whenever I go down to the 4-hour time frame, I'm not going to be able to see it there. It's going to neglect the script for that time frame because I have it set that way. Then if I go and add it back on, suddenly I can see the script on that time frame. So we'll go ahead and leave that on there. Then we will go to the inputs. So before we get too much into the inputs, I want you guys to learn how the strategy backtester performs and what the purpose of this as a strategy as opposed to an indicator really is. So let's go ahead and look at the strategy tester. So here we can see a net profit. So this is going to be determined by how many candlesticks you're being observed and on what time frame they're being observed. For this time frame, on the daily time frame on Bitstamp, from the date we've started, which we'll talk about in a moment, you can see that we've taken 349 trades, 58.17% were profitable. It's a profit factor of 1.5%, and the drawdown on the account was about 14%. We'd like to stay usually within like 7 to 10% would be nice. 15% is not terrible, but you definitely want to be careful with how much drawdown you're being exposed to, as that can be very bad. And then the average trade, you can see what the average profit per trade was averaged out from all the trades taken mathematically, and the average length of time spent in a trade. So here we can see on this time frame it happens to be 2 bars. This is the average number of bars in trade, but on the daily time frame means the average number of positions lasts about 2 days. So you can get into the performance summary and see the net profit. This is the gross profit minus the gross loss. That is your net profit. So total, we made this much money and we also lost this much money. So between the two, that's what we walked away with. Now another important thing to note here is buy and hold returns. So you can see that on any asset you're looking to invest in. If it's a newer, more speculative cryptocurrency, you might beat it with a strategy, but as far as Bitcoin is concerned, pretty much buying and holding is the best strategy known to man. So don't think you're going to outperform a holder. But anyway, moving forward, you can see some really important stuff here. The total amount of closed trades, if there's any open right now. So if you're following this and it throws a long position, you can see if it's open, and if you miss the close by some chance, you can come right here and see, okay, well, it's closed. So so that if you're following this, then you'll be able to see right here if you have an open trade or not, and if so, how many, which usually on this script should only be able to have one trade at a time. You can see your number of winning trades versus your number of losing trades, and a couple of other interesting statistics too. I'm not going to talk too much more about it. I think you understand. Now we'll go to the list of trades. So here, this is really nice. You can actually go into each trade and see what would have happened, see if there was a flaw in the backtesting engine or whatever like that. If you find a huge loss, like, let me try and find something here in, where are we, August of 2021. That way I don't have to move my screen around too much. Okay, perfect. So let's check this. So right here, we can see, here's my entry long, and then here's the exit for the long. And you see the flash is popping up right here. Entry long, exit long. And I can see exactly what happened. Then I can go to the next one, entry short. Nice, so we took this short entry, and then we exited the short. And that's a nice 1.65% profit, $16. Because remember, we're taking, with the way it's set up, you're taking each trade with 1,000 USD equivalent. So that would have been a nice profit factor there. Then we go into the next trade. We can see where it entered long, where it exited long. Excellent. And then we'll just go to a losing trade really quickly. Here we have entry long and exit long. So you can see every single trade that happened, which is amazing. So now we're going to go back to the overview, and I will go to the inputs once more, and I will put right here, that way you can see how this is affecting the net profit. And this is going to be different for every asset. Like I said, I have a couple of them pulled up just for a cross-reference, but you can apply this to anything that is on TradingView, and you'll be able to see the data for it. So by changing each one of these, you're going to be greatly affecting the net profit and the outcome of your strategy. So here we have the first option, which is to apply stoke. Now by checking this box, you apply a stochastic filter condition for long entries. So as you can see, it changes the profit, the net profit, and it could sometimes be for better or for worse. It could affect the strategy negatively. So you definitely want to backtest and backtest before you just go willy-nilly on it, thinking you found something, some gold mine. But anyway, moving forward, we'll take off the short engulfing. I don't think it'll affect it that much, but you can see it did affect it. And then we'll take off the RSI long. You'll see it has affected it. And then if we take off all of these, you'll see there's no data. Put on just the RSI long, then we have a different net profit. Okay, so now, before we talk about trailing stop, as we can see here, we have a stop loss and profit take percent. So if we start changing these values, if I put this to 1.5, we're going to get a different amount here. And if I put this to 1.5, we're going to get a different amount here. So now if I set this basically a 1-to-1 risk-reward ratio, just for reference, you can change this to whatever you would like and you'll get different results. So that is how you can change your risk-to-reward ratio, your stop loss, and profit take percent. Okay, now if we put trailing stop loss on, it's going to use a trailing stop percentage right here of what you specify. So if we put a trailing stop loss percent here, let's just say 1.5%, we can see how the result is changed, as a trailing stop loss will be activated for longs, and we can do the same thing for short. Again, I'm not sure it'll do much on this strategy because we hardly had any shorts, but it might do something. Okay, so it didn't really affect these shorts. Maybe if I put it a little bit smaller. No, okay, so it didn't affect the shorts on this strategy because there were only so few. But as you can see, it does take effect for the long. Let me just nudge it up by a little bit so you can see how much it affects at each value. Now here, by inputting a start month, this is really interesting. We can change the month. So if it's the 5th month of the year, you want to go in May, and you want to look at the 10th day of May. You want to go to the 10th day of May in 2018. Then you can press that as your start date. You can go to the end month, whatever you'd like, 2019. So now we are taking the data from just 2018 to 2019 from this time frame. So you can isolate any time frame that you want for testing. Now if you want to just, for example, see 2017 to 2018, it's going to have different results. So you'll see how it performed for that time, and you can see exactly what it did during that year based off the backtester. Then you can consolidate higher time frames and get different samples for your data. So if you come to the source, you can change where to take the source values from. For the SMA, it doesn't really take that much effect, but it will change the percentages at sometimes depending upon what time frames you're looking at, of course. Now the SMA length, this is going to change a lot. So now we're looking at 2017, 2018 only, and if we change this to 9, we'll get different results. We can see how successful or not successful the strategy was. And let me just go ahead and try and find it now. Okay, so here we go. This is what we're looking at now, 2017 to 2018. So you can see how it was taking trades in that awesome run up. I'll move that back over here. So you can see by changing this, you'll get different percentages. So it affects the strategy. This is the entry condition. So by changing this value, it says price must be trending over this SMA length. Now if we look at the RSI length, it comes automatically at 14. You can change this to whatever you like and you'll get different results as well. If you go to the RSI source, you can change open, high, low, or close. The Bollinger Band middle band length will have an effect on the strategy. So you can see if you change this, you get different results as well. The Bollinger Band source. Standard deviation, this is also a trait of the Bollinger Band, so you'll see by changing that you get different values. Close after sessions long. This will automatically close the position after how many sessions you specify. It comes automatically at 7. Here we can see we didn't spend any more time than 3 average bars in each trade, so it wouldn't have any effect until you started changing it to less than 3. And then for after short, it would automatically close this after 7 sessions, or whatever number you put here, and by 2 sessions, or whatever number you put here. And on the time frame we're observing, it's the 1 day, so it would automatically close after 2 days, or 2 candlesticks, which is 2 days, or 7 days, which is 7 candlesticks. So everything here, just about everything here, will affect the profitability of your strategy and all of these other characteristics as well. Now if we move forward to the property, I'll bring it to the center of the screen now since we don't need to look at any of that stuff too much, although I will show you what does affect net profit and the other things. Here we can see our initial capital. So if you are trading with a balance of $15,000 and you're going to be taking each trade with $1,000 right here, this is going to be your order size. It's going to be USD. You can do that. Or if you have $15,000 and you want to take with 100% of your equity, then you can see that means you're taking every trade with your total, your initial capital was 15 grand, and you took every position with 100% of your portfolio. If you had $1,000 and you were only beginning with $1,000 and you used 100% of your balance, you can see what your result would be. So I usually like to leave it at 1,000 and 1,000, which is why those values come up. You can also put this by contracts as well if you have an intricate mind and you know how to think like that. Usually it's just easier for a US dollar value, and that's why it automatically comes like that, because I trade in USD, and I think most of the crypto traders this is intended for trade in USDT or USDC or some other stablecoin equivalent. So pyramiding basically allows you to put different amounts of entries into the position. So if you just want to take 1 entry and it goes to stop loss or take profit, then just leave it to 1. If you change it to 2, for example, it's going to put additional buys on top of singular linear trades. So that means it will attempt to DCA, and it's going to change the strategy somewhat. This is going to be dependent upon a lot of things, not just pyramiding, but it can affect the profitability of your strategy. A lot of us don't really want to go for that kind of approach whenever we're looking to automate things or follow something as a signal, so you can just leave it to 1, which is why I have it set to default value of 1. Now something that is pretty important here is commission. So based upon what exchange you're using, you should of course be looking at that exchange. Here we're looking at Bitstamp, and if I were using Bybit, for example, I need to look at Bybit, and I'd also need to put the commission. So just for example, let's say the commission is 0.1. That is going to affect the profitability of your strategy, as it will calculate for exchange fees. So here, this is for if you're using limit orders, but that just means how many ticks have to pass by before it gets verified. So that's not really going to change anything until you see like a couple hundred ticks or so. Like, yeah, see, it didn't really affect it that much. I mean, it will, of course, depending upon what your settings are like. Put that back to 0. And then for slippage, so this is how many ticks you want to go past a market fill price or a market stop price. This can have some great effect on your strategy too, but again, it's going to be dependent upon a bunch of other things, not just this alone. So I'll just leave that set to 0 again. So the strategy does not account for margin for long positions or margin for short positions. No matter what you put into these values here, it's not going to affect the profitability rate of the strategy. So in the recalculate section here, if you click this after every order is filled, This will make the script do another calculation after every order is triggered. So you'll see here there's going to be a difference in these arrows because new trades or different trades are being taken. So just pay attention right there as they change. And for this box right here on every tick, I've never noticed a change in net profit on any asset that I've observed or tried to backtest with this, but that's not to discount that it might not affect the profitability on something else. At this point with what I've backtested, it's an NA value. So now that you know how this script works, all you have to do is backtest a bunch of stuff that you find interest in trading. So I have a couple things pulled up here just for reference. So here, if you like the profitability of this, and you're like, hey, you know what, I want to go ahead and follow the signals in the future, then you just come to the current price action and you'll wait for the next signal to be taken, which is going to be a long entry, and then you'll follow it. Long, if it says to close the long, you close the long. Now you can see here we have it pulled up in ETH as well, so I just wanted to show you. Nothing here yet, so when it starts telling you to take trades, you'll follow it and take the trades. Same if you're trading a stock, it works on stocks as well. So if you want to look at Tesla, you can see all the information that happened with Tesla, all of the backtest results. You can input a specific time range if you'd like to as well. You can change the take profit and stop loss to get different results and see, hey, you know what strategy works best for Tesla? If I apply a stoke on here, will it do better? Probably not. So that's not the strategy I want to use for Tesla. Here I can do 1.15 risk reward ratio. Now let me see if I change this. Maybe if I go for a more short-term crossover strategy, is it better? Yes, it is. So maybe you decide that you like these results for Tesla and you're like, hey, you know what? These results on the backtester, they work good for me based upon what I've backtested. So now in the future, whenever this strategy starts throwing off these signals, I'm just going to take the trades. I'm understanding that there's going to be some losing trades because I can look at the list of trades here and see which one lost, how much it lost. So if I'm okay with everything that I'm seeing from the backtester, and I understand that there's going to be some loss along the way, but overall I like the performance summary and I'm ready to take it, I can take it manually with signals I'm observing or automate it to an API service such as 3 commas. Here we have it pulled up on Apple as well, and I have a preset time range just for you to look at. So we can see here, I found this interesting. It was at 6% profit for the year, this year that we were looking at on Apple. And then if I move it forward just 1 year, we can see we have different results. So it did almost twice as well in the year after, but in the previous year that we first look at, we can see it actually did not perform profitable. It actually had a net loss, a small net loss for that year, but it had a net loss. So that just goes to show how 1 year's results can vary to the next year's results, and overall how to analyze if a strategy is good on a certain time frame. So don't just trust any one window of observation, test it on a couple different assets, and again, you can even do this on different time frames as well. So if we look into the 4 hour, we can see it perform differently, and we can do that on any of these other assets we looked at. So if we go to Ethereum, we're already on Ethereum on the 4 hour. If we go to the 1 day, we can see how it performs, and it looks like it was a better strategy on the 4 hour. So we might want to take the signals on the 4 hour instead of the 1 day. So that is how the backtester works, how to read the visuals on the chart, change all the inputs, change the properties, and how to follow it. If you want this trend momentum strategy on your trading view, all you have to do is check it out with the link below, and you will be given access once you submit your trading view username. So that's it for this one, and thanks for watching.